Entitled sister demands I give my vacation home to her because she's having twins. The morning started like any other at my lakeside retreat. I was curled up in Grandma Lottie's old rocking chair on the wraparound porch, steam rising from my favorite mug of ginger tea, watching the mist dance across the water. This was my sanctuary, the place where I came to write, to think, to breathe. The place Grandma Lottie had left me because she knew I'd love it like she did. Then I heard it. The unmistakable rumble of an expensive engine cutting through the morning quiet like a chainsaw through silk. A pristine white Cadillac Escalade came rolling up my gravel driveway, kicking up dust clouds that settled on my freshly planted flower beds. I knew that vehicle. I knew the person driving it. And I knew this peaceful morning was about to become anything but. Brianna stepped out like she was walking a red carpet, one perfectly manicured hand supporting her very pregnant belly, the other clutching a designer purse that probably cost more than most people's rent. Even at 7 months pregnant with twins, she looked like she'd just stepped off a magazine cover. Her honey blonde hair cascaded in perfect waves, her makeup was flawless despite the early hour, and she wore a flowing white sundress that probably had its own Instagram hashtag. "Maya," she called out, her voice carrying that familiar tone, the one that meant she wanted something. "Look at you, all cozy up there. Don't you look precious?" I set down my tea and stood slowly, my bare feet finding the familiar worn spots on the wooden planks. "Brianna, what are you doing here?" She rubbed her belly in slow, deliberate circles, a gesture I'd seen her perfect in countless social media posts. Can a sister visit her sister? Especially when she's carrying the next generation of our family? She paused at the bottom of the porch steps, looking up at me with those green eyes that had always gotten her whatever she wanted. "Besides, we need to talk." Something in her tone made my stomach clench. "About what?" "About this place." She gestured around with her free hand, taking in the cabin, the lake, the trees that had been here longer than both of us combined. "About how it's time for a change. About how I'm having twins, Maya, and I think it's time you handed this place over to someone who really needs it." The words hit me like a physical blow. I gripped the porch railing, feeling the familiar splinters that I'd been meaning to sand down. "Excuse me? You heard me." She started climbing the steps, each one deliberate and slow. "I'm carrying 2 babies. 2 black kings who are going to need space to grow, to run, to be free. And you're up here all alone, hoarding all this space like some kind of—" She paused, searching for the right word. "Like some kind of hermit." I watched her reach the top of the steps and immediately make herself at home in the other rocking chair, the one that had been Grandpa Samuel's before he passed. She settled in like she'd never left, like this was still her place too. "This isn't a discussion, Brianna," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "This is my home. Grandma Lottie left it to me. And she left me that condo in Destin," Brianna replied, still rubbing her belly. "But life changes, Maya. Circumstances change. I'm about to be a mother, a single mother, and these babies deserve better than some cramped apartment in the city." My mind was reeling. The same sister who had owned a beachside condo worth more than this lake house, a place with marble countertops and a view of the Gulf of Mexico, was sitting on my porch telling me I should give up my inheritance for her convenience. "What happened to your condo?" I asked, though part of me already knew the answer. She waved her hand dismissively. "That's irrelevant. What matters is now. What matters is that I'm carrying life, and you've got more space than any one person needs." She looked around the porch, her eyes taking inventory. "This place could fit a whole family. You could get a nice apartment in town, maybe something closer to your job. It would be good for you to be around people more." That's when it hit me like a lightning bolt. She wasn't asking. She wasn't even really suggesting. She was telling me. She had driven up here, pregnant belly and all, expecting me to just hand over the keys to the home I'd spent 3 years renovating with my own hands. "Brianna," I said, sitting back down because my legs suddenly felt unsteady. "This is my home. I've put everything into this place. You've been selfish," she interrupted, her voice taking on that sharp edge I remembered from our childhood. "You've always been selfish, Maya. Even when we were kids, you hoarded things. Your books, your space, your little secrets. And now you're hoarding Grandma's house while I'm about to bring new life into this world. The accusation stung because it was so far from the truth. I had been the one sending her money when her rent was due. I had been the one who listened to her crying phone calls at 2 a.m. when her latest business venture fell through. I had been the one who quietly fixed the problems she created while she lived her Instagram perfect life. I'm not hoarding anything, I said, surprised by the steadiness of my own voice. I'm living in the home my grandmother left me, the home I've been taking care of. Taking care of for who? Brianna shot back. You don't even have a boyfriend. You barely have friends. You come up here and hide from the world while I'm out there building something real. Building a legacy. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I'd never noticed before. Beneath the designer clothes and the perfect makeup, beneath the social media confidence and the entitled demands, there was something desperate, something hungry. What's really going on, Brianna? I asked. For just a moment, her mask slipped. Her hand stilled on her belly, and her eyes darted away from mine. But then she straightened up, the performance snapping back into place like a rubber band. What's going on is that I'm trying to do what's best for my family, she said. And you're being selfish. These babies need space. They need fresh air and nature and room to grow. And you're sitting up here in all this space, doing what? Writing in your little journal? Taking pictures of sunsets for your 12 Instagram followers. The cruelty of her words took my breath away. But it also did something else. It made me angry. Really, truly angry in a way I hadn't been in years. I think you should leave, I said, standing up so fast that my rocking chair kept moving behind me. I'm not leaving until we settle this, Brianna said, making no move to get up. I'm not leaving until you understand that this isn't just about you anymore. This is about family. This is about doing what's right. What's right? I repeated, my voice rising. You want to know what's right? What's right is that you had your own place, your own beautiful, expensive place, and you threw it away. What's right is that this is my home, and you don't get to take it just because you made bad choices. Brianna's face went hard. Bad choices? I'll tell you what a bad choice is. A bad choice is wasting your life hiding up here like some kind of tragic spinster while the world passes you by. A bad choice is being so jealous of your sister that you can't even be happy she's starting a family. I'm not jealous of you, I said, but even as the words came out, I wondered if they were true. Had I been jealous? Jealous of her confidence, her beauty, her ability to make everything look effortless? Aren't you? Brianna struggled to stand, using the arms of the rocking chair for support. Aren't you just a little bit jealous that I'm the one having babies while you're up here talking to squirrels? She moved closer to me, and I could smell her perfume, something expensive and floral that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. But here's the thing, Maya, she continued, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. I'm willing to let you be part of this. I'm willing to let you be the cool aunt who visits on weekends. All you have to do is give me what I need, what my babies need. I stared at her, this person who shared my DNA but felt like a complete stranger. And what if I say no? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Oh, honey, you won't say no. Because deep down you know I'm right. You know this place is wasted on someone like you. And you know that family takes care of family. The threat was subtle but unmistakable. This wasn't just about the house. This was about my place in the family, my relationships with everyone we both loved. She was betting that I would cave rather than risk being seen as the selfish sister who wouldn't help her pregnant sibling. But as I stood there on the porch of the home I'd spent 3 years turning into my sanctuary, something shifted inside me. Maybe it was the way she dismissed my life as worthless. Maybe it was the casual cruelty of her words. Or maybe it was just that I'd finally had enough. I think you should leave, I said again, this time with more force. I think you should get in your fancy car and drive back to wherever you came from and figure out your own life. Brianna's eyes widened in genuine surprise. Are you serious right now? Dead serious. She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw the exact moment when she realized I wasn't going to bend. Her face went through a series of expressions: shock, anger, and then something that looked almost like respect. "Fine," she said finally. "But this isn't over, Maya. This is far from over." She made her way down the porch steps, moving carefully with her pregnant belly. At the bottom, she turned back to look at me. "When my babies are born and they ask why their aunt chose a house over family, I'll make sure they know exactly what kind of person you are." I watched her drive away, her white SUV disappearing into the trees, leaving only dust and the lingering scent of her perfume. My hands were shaking as I picked up my tea mug, the ginger tea now cold and forgotten. But I wasn't shaking from fear or doubt. I was shaking from something I hadn't felt in years: the power of standing up for myself. The quiet of the lake settled around me again, but it felt different now. Not peaceful exactly, but purposeful, like the calm before a storm that I was finally ready to weather. As I sat there in the aftermath of Brianna's visit, my mind drifted back to 3 years ago, when Grandma Lottie passed and everything changed. I could still remember the reading of the will like it was yesterday, the way everyone gathered in that stuffy lawyer's office, the way Mama kept dabbing at her eyes with tissues that left little white specks on her cheeks. To my granddaughter Brianna, the lawyer had read in his monotone voice, "I leave my beachside property in Destin, Florida, with all its furnishings and contents." There had been a collective intake of breath. Everyone knew that condo was worth at least $500,000, sitting right on the Gulf with floor-to-ceiling windows and a balcony that overlooked the emerald waters. "And to my granddaughter Maya," he continued, "I leave my lake house in Alabama, with all its furnishings and contents, and my hope that she will find the same peace there that I did." I remembered the way people's faces had changed when they heard lake house instead of beachside property. The subtle shift in expressions, the way some cousins stopped making eye contact. It was like I'd gotten the consolation prize while Brianna hit the jackpot. But Grandma Lottie knew what she was doing. She always did. Brianna had been the golden child since birth, light-skinned like Mama's side of the family, with those green eyes that came from some distant relative we'd never met. Her hair fell in natural waves while mine grew in tight coils that I eventually learned to love in locks. She was the one who got the modeling gigs as a teenager, the one who always had boyfriends calling the house, the one Mama would brag about to her church friends. "Our diamond," Mama used to call her. "Brianna's going to be somebody special." I was the quiet one, the one with my nose always in a book, the one who preferred numbers to people. While Brianna was out conquering the world, I was in my room with spreadsheets and budgets, trying to figure out how to make my customer service job stretch far enough to cover my dreams. When we both got our inheritances, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with mine. The lake house was beautiful but neglected. Grandma Lottie's arthritis had kept her from maintaining it properly in her final years. The deck was rotting, the kitchen was stuck in 1987, and the plumbing made sounds like a dying whale. But it had good bones, and more importantly, it had heart. I spent every weekend for 6 months driving up from Birmingham, armed with YouTube tutorials and a determination that surprised even me. I learned to replace floorboards, to tile a backsplash, to install a toilet without flooding the bathroom. My hands got calloused and my back ached, but every improvement felt like a conversation with Grandma Lottie's spirit. Brianna, meanwhile, had bigger plans. The day after the will reading, her Instagram exploded with photos of her new beachside paradise. Hashtag blessed beyond measure, hashtag grandma's legacy, hashtag living my best life. The pictures were stunning, her silhouette against the sunset, champagne glasses on the balcony, designer bikinis on the private beach access. She looked like she'd been living there her whole life instead of just inheriting it. But looking back now, I could see the signs I'd missed at the time. The way she'd started posting about lifestyle brands and building her empire. The way she'd begun reaching out to me with increasingly desperate phone calls. "Maya, I need to ask you something," she'd said one night around midnight, her voice thick with tears. "Could you maybe help me out with my car payment this month? I'm waiting on some brand deals to come through, and I'm just a little short." I'd sent her the money without question. $400 from my careful savings account. A month later, it was her credit card bill. I had to invest in some photo shoots, you know? You have to spend money to make money in this business. But the returns are going to be huge, Maya. I just need to get through this rough patch. Another $800. Then it was her rent, her utilities, her mysterious business expenses that she could never quite explain. Every time there was a crisis, every time there was a promise that the big break was coming, every time I found myself transferring money from my account to hers, telling myself it was temporary. Meanwhile, her social media presence grew more elaborate. Private jets to Dubai that I later learned were just photo ops during layovers. Designer handbags that she'd borrow from friends for pictures. Expensive dinners that she'd photograph before returning untouched to the kitchen. Her follower count climbed, and brands started reaching out, but somehow she was always broke. The final straw came 18 months after Grandma Lottie's death. I was up at the lake house, finally installing the new kitchen cabinets I'd been saving for, when Brianna called. "Maya, I need you to sit down for this," she said, her voice strangely calm. "I sold the condo." I nearly dropped my drill. "You what?" "I sold it. $300,000 cash. I'm finally free to pursue my dreams without being tied down to property." I couldn't speak. $300,000. The home that Grandma Lottie had lovingly maintained for 40 years, sold like it was nothing more than a stock option. "Brianna, what are you going to do with that money?" I finally managed. "I'm launching my lifestyle brand for real this time. I'm going to travel, create content, build something that matters. This is my chance to show the world what I'm capable of." That was 2 years ago. 2 years of watching her Instagram stories from increasingly exotic locations. 2 years of watching her follower count climb while her bank account apparently plummeted. 2 years of late-night calls asking for help with rent, with bills, with the basic necessities of life. The lifestyle brand never materialized into anything concrete. The travel photos became less frequent. The designer clothes started repeating. And the requests for money became more desperate. Just last month, she'd called crying because her electricity was about to be cut off. "I don't understand how this happened," she'd sobbed. "I was so careful with the money. I thought I had enough to last longer." But I'd seen the receipts. The $800 dinners, the $2,000 handbags, the $5,000 flights to places she'd visit for 3 days just to get content. She hadn't been building a brand. She'd been building an illusion. And now the illusion was collapsing, and she was looking for someone to blame. Someone like me, sitting in my paid-off lake house, living my quiet life, keeping my modest savings account healthy while she burned through a fortune. Sitting on my porch now, I realized that her visit hadn't been about the babies at all. It had been about desperation. About a woman who'd gambled everything on a dream that was built on nothing but hashtags and filters and lost. But that didn't make her demand any less outrageous. If anything, it made it worse. 3 days later, Brianna was back. I was inside this time, working on my laptop at the kitchen table, when I heard the familiar sound of her SUV crunching up the gravel drive. My stomach dropped. I'd hoped our last conversation would be the end of it, but clearly I'd underestimated my sister's determination. This time, she didn't bother knocking. She walked right up to the front door and tried the handle. When it didn't budge, she knocked. Not a polite tap, but a demanding rhythm that echoed through the house. "Maya, I know you're in there," she called through the door. "Your car's right there in the driveway." I took a deep breath and opened the door. She was standing there with 2 large shopping bags and a look of determination that made my heart race. "We need to finish our conversation," she said, pushing past me into the house before I could object. "Brianna, I thought I made myself clear." "You did, but I think you misunderstood what I was offering." She set her bags down on my coffee table and made herself comfortable on the couch. The same couch I'd spent weeks researching and saving for. The same couch that had taken me 3 months to afford. She settled in like she owned it, one hand on her belly, the other arranging the decorative pillows I'd sewn myself. "I wasn't offering anything," I said, remaining standing by the door. "I was telling you no." "Maya, sit down. Please." Her voice was softer now, almost pleading. "I brought something to show you." Against my better judgment, I sat down in the armchair across from her. She reached into one of her bags and pulled out a thick folder. "I've been thinking about what you said," she began. about how this is your home and you've put work into it. And you're right, you have. But I've been thinking about our family, about what Grandma Lottie would have wanted. She opened the folder and pulled out a stack of printouts. These are ultrasound photos, 23 weeks along. Look at them, Maya. Really look. I glanced at the grainy black and white images. Two tiny forms, unmistakably human, curled together in what looked like an embrace. Despite everything, I felt a flutter of something, wonder, maybe, or love for these nieces or nephews I hadn't even met yet. They're beautiful, I said, and I meant it. They are. And they're going to need so much, Maya. They're going to need space to grow, to play, to learn about nature. They're going to need fresh air and clean water and room to run. She gestured around the living room. They're going to need exactly what you have here. I looked at her carefully. What happened to your apartment in the city? What do you mean? I mean, if you need space for the babies, what's wrong with your current place? It's a 2-bedroom, right? That should be plenty for twins. Something flickered across her face. So quickly I almost missed it. It's not the right environment. Too much noise, too much pollution. These babies deserve better. Brianna, what happened to your apartment? She was quiet for a long moment, her hand stilling on her belly. When she looked up at me, her eyes were wet. I lost it, she said quietly. I couldn't make the rent. I'm staying with Mama right now, but it's temporary. Her place is tiny, and with 2 babies coming, the pieces clicked together. The desperation in her voice during our last conversation. The way she'd driven all the way up here to make demands instead of requests. The timing of this visit, right when her pregnancy was far enough along to be visible, but not so far along that she couldn't travel. How long have you been staying with Mama? I asked. 2 months, she admitted. Maybe 3. I kept thinking something would come through, some brand deal or opportunity. But everything's been so slow, and with the pregnancy, I can't travel for shoots anymore. I felt a familiar pang of sympathy, the same feeling that had led me to send her money so many times before. But this time, it was mixed with something else. Anger. So you came here to take my home because you can't afford your own? That's not. She stopped herself, took a breath. It's not about taking, Maya. It's about family. It's about doing what's right for the next generation. And what about what's right for me? She looked genuinely puzzled by the question. What do you mean? I mean, what about my life? My work? My peace? What about the fact that I've spent 3 years turning this place into something special? But you don't have children, she said, as if that settled everything. You don't have anyone depending on you. These babies, she rubbed her belly again, they're depending on me. They're depending on us. On family. I do have someone depending on me, I said quietly. I have me. She stared at me like I'd spoken in a foreign language. Maya, that's selfish. Is it? Is it selfish to want to keep the home I've worked for? Is it selfish to want to live the life I've built? When your sister is carrying twins and has nowhere to raise them properly? Yes, it is. I stood up, pacing to the window that looked out over the lake. The water was calm today, reflecting the clouds like a mirror. Brianna, I've been helping you for 2 years. 2 years of money transfers, of late-night crisis calls, of watching you spend a fortune on nonsense while I scrimp and save for everything I have. That's different. That was just money. Just money. I turned to face her. Money I worked for. Money I saved. Money I sent you instead of using it for things I needed. And I appreciate that, I do. But this is bigger than money, Maya. This is about family legacy. About what these babies need. What these babies need is a mother who can provide for them. A mother who doesn't expect other people to give up their lives to fix her problems. Her face went hard. A mother who isn't selfish enough to hoard a whole house while her pregnant sister has nowhere to go. I'm not hoarding anything. The words came out louder than I intended. I'm living in my home. The home my grandmother left me. The home I've earned. Earned. She struggled to stand up, her belly making the movement awkward. You earned it by being the quiet one? By being the one who stayed home while I was out building a life. I earned it by being the one who was there for Grandma Lottie when she was sick. By being the one who visited her every weekend, who helped her with her groceries, who made sure she wasn't alone. Where were you when she needed us, Brianna? She flinched as if I'd slapped her. I was building my career. I was making something of myself. You were making content for Instagram while our grandmother died alone. The words hung in the air between us, harsh and true. Brianna's face crumpled, and for a moment, I saw the scared girl underneath all the designer clothes and entitled demands. That's not fair, she whispered. Isn't it? She gathered her things, shoving the ultrasound photos back into her bag with shaking hands. I came here to give you a chance to be part of your nephew's lives, to be the aunt who helped when it mattered. But I can see that you've already chosen your precious house over family. I haven't chosen anything over family, I said as she headed for the door. I've chosen not to enable someone who's never learned to take responsibility for her own choices. She paused at the door, her hand on the handle. When these babies are born, and they ask why they don't have a relationship with their aunt, I'll tell them the truth. I'll tell them that you chose a house over them. And I'll tell them that their mother chose pride over responsibility, I replied. She left without another word, and I watched her drive away again. But this time, I wasn't shaking. This time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years when it came to my sister. Clarity. The babies weren't the problem. Brianna's financial situation wasn't even the problem. The problem was that she'd never learned that actions have consequences, and she'd never stopped expecting other people to fix the messes she made. But I was done being her safety net. And I was definitely done being her scapegoat. 2 weeks later, I was standing in Aunt Naomi's backyard, holding a plate of potato salad and wondering if I'd made a mistake by coming. The annual Juneteenth cookout was a family tradition that went back to my childhood. 3 generations gathered around picnic tables, the smell of barbecue in the air, kids running between the adults with sticky fingers and grass-stained knees. But this year felt different. This year, I could feel the undercurrent of tension, the way conversations stopped when I walked by, the way certain cousins avoided making eye contact. Word had gotten around about my situation with Brianna, though I was sure the version they'd heard wasn't anywhere close to the truth. Maya, baby, come sit by me, Aunt Naomi called from the shade of her big oak tree. She patted the folding chair beside her, and I gratefully accepted the invitation. At 68, Aunt Naomi was the family matriarch now that Grandma Lottie was gone, and her word carried weight. How you been, sweetheart? She asked, her voice gentle but probing. I know things have been complicated lately. Before I could answer, I saw Brianna's white SUV pulling into the driveway. My stomach clenched. I'd hoped she might skip this year's gathering, but apparently, she had other plans. She emerged from the car like a queen making an entrance, her pregnancy now impossible to ignore at nearly 8 months. She wore a flowing peach dress that somehow made her look ethereal and maternal at the same time, her hair pulled back in a loose bun that seemed effortless, but probably took an hour to perfect. There's my girl, Uncle Daryl called out, hurrying over to help her navigate the uneven ground. Look at you, Mama. Those babies are going to be beautiful. I watched as she accepted hugs and congratulations, her hand constantly moving to her belly in that practice gesture. She was working the crowd, I realized, playing the role of the devoted mother-to-be who needed everyone's support. Maya, she said when she finally made her way over to where I sat with Aunt Naomi. Her voice was carefully neutral, but I could see the calculation in her eyes. I'm so glad you came. I wasn't sure you would. Why wouldn't I come? I asked. Well, given our disagreement, I thought you might want to avoid family gatherings for a while. Aunt Naomi's eyebrows rose. Disagreement. Brianna sank into the chair on Aunt Naomi's other side, moving slowly and deliberately. It's just been hard, Aunt Naomi, being pregnant and trying to figure out where I'm going to raise these babies. I keep thinking about what Grandma Lottie would want for her great-grandchildren. What do you mean, baby? I mean, she left us both properties, but Maya's got all that space up at the lake house, and I'm trying to figure out how to give these twins the life they deserve. I felt the familiar flush of anger, but I kept my voice steady. Brianna, don't. Don't what? Don't tell the truth about how hard it's been? Don't talk about how I'm trying to raise 2 black kings in this world, and I can't even give them a proper home. The conversations around us had started to quiet. I could feel people listening, watching, waiting to see what would happen next. You had a proper home, I said quietly. You had a beautiful condo worth $500,000 and you sold it. That's not the point. That's exactly the point. I stood up, my legs feeling shaky, but my resolve solid. You want to tell everyone the truth? Let's tell them the truth. I walked to my car, my heart pounding, and retrieved the folder I'd been carrying around for weeks. The one I'd put together after our last conversation. The one I'd hoped I'd never have to use. When I came back, the entire family was watching. Cousin Jerome had turned off the music. Even the kids had stopped running around, sensing the tension in the air. You want to talk about Grandma Lottie's legacy? I said, opening the folder. Let's talk about it. I pulled out the first set of papers, bank statements, Venmo transfers, screenshots of text messages. This is 2 years of me sending money to help with rent, car payments, credit card bills. Over $15,000. A murmur went through the crowd. Uncle Daryl frowned. Maya, what are you doing? I'm telling the truth, I said, my voice gaining strength. This is what Brianna's been asking me to do. Give up my home, the one I've spent 3 years renovating with my own hands, because she needs space for her babies. Maya, stop, Brianna said, but her voice lacked its usual confidence. This, I continued, holding up another document, is the record of Brianna selling Grandma Lottie's beachside condo for $300,000 in cash 2 years ago. The silence was deafening. I could see the shock on faces around the circle. Aunt Naomi's mouth had fallen open. Uncle Daryl was staring at Brianna like he'd never seen her before. And these, I said, pulling out printed screenshots, are some of the Instagram posts from the past 2 years. The trips to Dubai, the designer clothes, the champagne dinners. All of it paid for with the money from selling our grandmother's home. You don't understand, Brianna said, struggling to stand. I was building something. I was investing in my future. You were building an illusion, I replied. And now that the money's gone, you want to take my home to fix the mess you made. Cousin Lisa spoke up from across the circle. Brianna, is this true? You sold Grandma Lottie's place. It's complicated. It's not complicated, I said. It's simple. She had a home, she threw it away, and now she wants mine. She's not asking for help. She's demanding that I give up everything I've worked for because she made bad choices. Maya, Aunt Naomi said slowly, why didn't you tell us what was going on? Because I kept hoping she'd figure it out on her own. I kept hoping she'd take responsibility for her own life instead of expecting everyone else to fix her problems. Those are my great-grandchildren she's carrying, Mama said, speaking for the first time. Don't those babies deserve better than this? They deserve a mother who can provide for them, I said, looking directly at Brianna. A mother who learns from her mistakes instead of blaming everyone else for the consequences. Brianna's face had gone pale. For the first time in our lives, she was speechless in front of the family. No quick comeback, no clever deflection, no ability to twist the narrative in her favor. Brianna, Uncle Daryl said, his voice heavy with disappointment, is this how Lottie raised you? To expect your sister to give up her home because you can't manage your own life? I'm pregnant, she said weakly. I'm carrying twins. And that's wonderful, Aunt Naomi said. But that doesn't give you the right to take what belongs to someone else. I looked around the circle of faces, my family, the people who'd known us both since we were children. For the first time in my life, they were seeing the real story instead of the carefully crafted image Brianna had always presented. I'm not the villain here, I said quietly. I'm just someone who finally learned to say no. Brianna gathered her purse with shaking hands. I can't believe you did this to me. In front of everyone. I didn't do anything to you, I replied. I just told the truth. She walked away without another word, and this time, no one rushed to help her or offer comfort. They just watched her go, and I could see the disappointment in their faces. Not in me, but in the golden child who'd finally lost her shine. The weeks that followed the family barbecue were unlike anything I'd ever experienced. For the first time in my life, my phone wasn't ringing with Brianna's crisis calls. For the first time in years, I wasn't checking my bank account to see if I could afford to send her money. The silence was both peaceful and unsettling. But the family grapevine was working overtime. Cousin Jerome called 3 days after the barbecue. "Maya, I owe you an apology," he said without preamble. "I had no idea what you'd been dealing with. Brianna always made it seem like you were just, antisocial or something." Antisocial. Like you were avoiding family stuff because you thought you were better than us. She made it sound like you were up in that fancy lake house looking down on the rest of us. I sat down hard on my porch steps. She said that. Not directly, but the way she talked. "Maya, I'm sorry. We all just assumed you had it easy because you didn't have kids or drama or whatever. We didn't know you were the one keeping her afloat." More calls came throughout the week. Aunt Naomi wanting to make sure I was okay. Cousin Lisa asking if I needed anything. Even Mama called, her voice heavy with something that might have been guilt. "Maya, baby, I need to ask you something," Mama said. "How long has Brianna been staying with me? Because she had nowhere else to go." "What do you mean?" "I mean, she told me it was temporary while she found a new place. Something about wanting to be closer to family during the pregnancy. But after what you showed us at the barbecue." Her voice trailed off. "How long has she been broke, Maya?" I thought about lying about protecting Brianna the way I always had. But I was tired of covering for her. "At least 2 years, Mama. Maybe longer." The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long, I thought we'd been disconnected. Finally, Mama spoke again. "Lord have mercy. I've been bragging about that girl's success to everyone at church, talking about her travels and her business ventures. I feel like such a fool." "You're not a fool, Mama. You believed what she wanted you to believe. But you knew the truth and I didn't listen to you. I never listened to you, baby. I'm always so focused on Brianna's drama that I forget about my quiet girl who never asks for anything." The conversation with Mama broke something open in me that I didn't even know was closed. For the first time, I understood that my family's blindness to Brianna's flaws hadn't just hurt me, it had hurt them too. But the biggest change was in Brianna herself. Her social media went dark first. The carefully curated Instagram posts that had been a daily occurrence for years just stopped. No more mirror selfies with inspirational captions. No more photos of expensive meals or designer accessories. No more hashtags about building her empire or living her best life. When she did finally post again, 2 weeks after the barbecue, it was a single photo of a sunset with the caption, "Taking time to reflect." The comment section, usually filled with fire emojis and heart eyes, was notably quiet. I heard through Cousin Lisa that the brand deals had dried up completely. She reached out to that makeup company she was always promoting, Lisa told me during one of our new regular phone calls. They told her they were going in a different direction. Same with that fashion boutique and the jewelry line. It's like they all figured out at the same time that her influence wasn't worth much. The influencer crown that Brianna had worn so proudly for years had slipped, and this time, no one was rushing to adjust it for her. 3 weeks after the barbecue, she texted me for the first time since that day. "You really embarrass me, Maya." I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. "I just told the truth." Her response came quickly. "Same thing." And that was it. No apology, no acknowledgement of the years of financial support I'd given her, no recognition that maybe, just maybe, she bore some responsibility for the situation she was in. Just anger that I'd exposed her carefully constructed facade. The family dynamics shifted in ways I couldn't have predicted. Suddenly, I was the one getting invited to lunch dates and shopping trips. I was the one people called when they needed advice about money or life decisions. It was like they'd suddenly remembered I existed as more than just Brianna's quiet sister. "You know what I realized?" Aunt Naomi said during one of our phone conversations. "Brianna was always performing for us. Even as a little girl, everything was a show. But you were just being yourself. We should have paid more attention to that." But the strangest part was how empty the victory felt. I'd spent years feeling invisible next to Brianna's shine, and now that the spotlight had shifted, I realized I'd never really wanted it in the first place. What I'd wanted was respect, understanding, the knowledge that my quiet contributions mattered. I got a call from Mama one evening, just as I was settling in with a cup of tea on my porch. "Maya, I need to tell you something," she said. "Brianna's been asking me to call you, to try to convince you to reconsider about the lake house." And I told her no. I told her that what you showed us at the barbecue opened my eyes to a lot of things. I told her it was time she learned to handle her own problems. I nearly dropped my tea. "You told her that?" "I did. And you know what she said? She said I was choosing you over her and the babies. Can you believe that? Like helping someone clean up their own mess is some kind of betrayal." How did you respond to that? I told her that love isn't about enabling bad choices. I told her that maybe if I'd made her face consequences when she was younger, she wouldn't be in this mess now. After we hung up, I sat in the gathering darkness, listening to the lake lap against the shore. The woman who'd called me, her diamond, my whole life had finally seen past the shine to what was real underneath. Brianna's crown hadn't just slipped, it had fallen completely, and for the first time, I could see her clearly too. Not as the successful, glamorous sister I'd envied, but as someone who'd built her entire identity on illusions and was now facing the reality of who she was without them. It should have felt like justice. Instead, it just felt sad. 6 months later, I was standing on my porch watching the lake turn gold in the evening light when I heard the familiar sound of a car coming up the drive. But this time, it wasn't Brianna's white SUV. It was a modest Honda Civic with a car seat visible in the back. Brianna stepped out slowly, moving carefully in the way of someone still recovering from childbirth. She looked different, softer somehow, more real. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore jeans and a plain sweater instead of her usual designer ensemble. "Maya," she said as she approached the porch. "I know I should have called first." I set down my coffee mug and studied her face. The performance mask was gone, replaced by something I'd rarely seen from my sister. Genuine uncertainty. "How are the babies?" I asked. "They're perfect." Her face lit up with a smile that was completely unguarded. "Marcus and Malcolm. They're 8 weeks old now, and they're everything." She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo of 2 tiny faces, identical except for a small birthmark on one baby's cheek. "They're with Mama right now. She's been amazing, actually." I felt my heart soften despite everything. "They're beautiful, Brianna." "They are." She tucked the phone away and looked out at the lake. "I came to apologize. Really apologize, not just say words, because I think it's what you want to hear." I gestured to the chair beside me, and she sat down carefully. "I've had a lot of time to think these past few months," she began. "About the choices I made, about the way I treated you, about what I thought I was entitled to." She was quiet for a moment, watching a heron wade through the shallows. "I was wrong, Maya. About everything." "Brianna." "No, let me finish. Please." She turned to face me. "I spent so many years thinking that because I was pretty, because I could get attention, because people liked my pictures, that meant I was successful. But success isn't followers or brand deals or fancy trips. It's being able to take care of yourself and the people you love. It's building something real." I waited, sensing there was more. "You did that," she continued. "You built something real. You took Grandma Lottie's house and made it into a home. You created a life that was yours, that was sustainable, that was honest. And instead of celebrating that, I resented it. I resented you for having what I threw away." "The babies changed everything?" I asked. "The babies showed me who I really was underneath all the pretense. When I was holding them for the first time, all I could think about was how I wanted to give them a foundation, something solid and real. And I realized I didn't even know what that looked like because I'd never built anything solid in my own life." She was crying now, quiet tears that she didn't try to hide or perform. "I thought about asking you again for the house," she admitted, "even after everything that happened at the barbecue. But then I realized that taking your home wouldn't teach my sons anything good about how to be in the world. It would just teach them that you can take what someone else has worked for if you cry loud enough or make people feel guilty enough. So, what are you going to do? I'm figuring it out. Mama's letting us stay with her while I get back on my feet. I got a job at the community center. Nothing glamorous, just organizing events and running social media for their programs. But it's honest work, and it pays enough to start saving for our own place. I was quiet for a long moment, processing this version of my sister that I'd never seen before. I also wanted to tell you something else, she said. I heard about what you're doing with the house. The writing retreat for teenage girls. I'd started the program 3 months ago, opening my home once a month to a small group of young Black women who wanted to explore writing and storytelling. It was small, just 6 girls at a time, but it was growing. How did you hear about that? Cousin Lisa's daughter participates. She came home talking about this amazing woman who taught her that her stories mattered, that her voice was important. She was talking about you, Maya. She was talking about how you created this safe space where girls could be themselves and explore their creativity without judgment. It's just a small thing. It's not small. It's exactly what Grandma Lottie would have wanted. She always said this house was meant to nurture people, to help them grow. You're doing that. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sun sink lower toward the horizon. I brought you something, Brianna said finally, reaching into her purse. She pulled out a small wrapped package. It's not much, but I wanted you to have it. I unwrapped it to find a simple silver bracelet with 2 small charms, a pen, and a tiny house. For the writer who built a home, she said. And for the sister who finally taught me what strength really looks like. Brianna. I'm not asking for anything, she said quickly. I'm not here to take or demand or manipulate. I just wanted you to know that I see you now. I see what you've built, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud to be your sister. After she left, I sat on the porch until full darkness settled over the lake. I thought about legacy, not the kind built on Instagram likes or designer clothes, but the kind built on quiet consistency, on showing up, on creating something that would outlast the person who built it. Inside the house, I had a stack of applications from girls who wanted to join the next writing retreat. Young women who needed to know that their stories mattered, that their voices deserved to be heard. Tomorrow, I would read through them and select the next group. I fingered the bracelet Brianna had given me, feeling the weight of the small charms. Legacy isn't what you're given, I thought, remembering the note I'd sent with the baby gifts months ago. It's what you build. I had kept the cabin. And more importantly, I had kept my peace. But I'd also built something bigger than either, a place where other people could find their voices too. That felt like the best kind of inheritance of all.